Hi guys, it's Dr. Selene with BU Medical. I want to talk to you about an area that's a little tricky that we often do, which is tear trough filler. It's one of those areas that I try to provide a lot of education on because it can look really good or it can look really bad. I've seen tear trough filler kind of go wayward after years of sitting in the face. So it's something we want to be really respectful of and put the filler in the correct location as well as pick the right candidates. Not everybody is the right candidate. Yesterday I had somebody come in just with crepey skin under the eyes, but plenty of volume. And so she was not the right candidate for tear trough filler. Lasers are better for her. I'm going to show you an assessment with my friend here, Chad, and we're going to show you how come he is a great candidate and who might not be a good candidate. Remember, in this area, we take it really, really slow and steady. I always say it's not a race, it's a marathon. So we keep this up over time. I often start with 1 to 2 syringes in that area. I don't just treat the under eye. Most people will focus in on that center part of their eye and say, just fill there. You're going to see on Chad what happens if you just fill in that location, because then the lateral part of the eye, the side of the eye, will start to show a little bit of a hollow. As well as if you don't support in the mid-face, it just doesn't look consistent. So the way we get the most optimal results are to treat that whole area as well as give it support in the mid-face. So even though I don't dump a whole syringe just in that one location, we can put a whole syringe on one side, including lateral tear trough and mid-face. So we can take that slow and steady. We can start with 1 syringe, or we can start with 2 syringes, or even 3 syringes. Not all of it's going to go in that one little pocket. We do have to be careful not to put too much volume, because you could put so much volume that then you lose your eye, kind of if I get chintzy like this. And you've seen it with some movie stars that you're like, they had beautiful eyes and now all of a sudden they've lost them. It's just too much volume in that area. So I always say we sacrifice a little bit and we put up with a little bit of hollow so we keep that bright-eyed look. And so I'm going to show you here on Chad kind of what my assessment is and what we're going to proceed with today, and you can see the process. All right guys, so I'm gonna show you an assessment here with Chad. So Chad, look up to the sky for me, or head down, eyeballs up to the sky. So you can see when Chad does that, you can see more of a hollow in here, a little bit of a hollow in here, and lots of hollow in this area. His mid-face is actually doing quite well. Chad has been a model before, so we've done a little bit of fill in this location, and now we just really need to perfect by adding some volume in that lateral corner. You can look wherever you want now, and in the mid-face there. Keep in mind that when you're seeing before and after results on Instagram, if somebody's taking a photo where somebody's looking up and then the after photo is looking at you, it's a totally false before and after picture. We all look worse when we look up, and we all look better when we look straight ahead. So when the injector asks you to look up, they're really looking to see where that hollow is. There's 2 different approaches to tear trough fillers. You'll hear some people use cannula, which is a long blunted needle, which we would just go in from one little port and go in that area and thread that. I really like it, it's really beautiful. I'm going to use needle today because I like the precision of it. We're gonna use a filler that is meant for the under eyes, that's a little bit softer. Remember, we don't want the type of filler that holds onto water. So when you think about the filler that you would use in your lips, not the right filler for your under eyes, because that gives you projection. This is the last place that you would want projection. So I'm gonna show you here on Chad how we get this accomplished to soften that little area. So this really doesn't hurt. Chad's been numbing for about half an hour. And again, I told you I'm gonna use needle here. And I'm gonna have you look up to the sky for me, Chad. And I'm gonna start laterally because this is kind of our area. And the way that I inject it is I actually go on bone, which sounds horrible, but it helps me know that I'm in a location that I'm hoping it won't move. So I don't want this to move at all. You can look wherever you want now, in between. I don't want this to move at all. Now, is it possible that filler can move? Absolutely. So we can always dissolve and start over as this ages. It may not age very pretty. We're still learning a lot of the properties of some of these fillers, but nonetheless, it's what we got, and just even that alone makes a huge difference. And Chad is so hollow that I almost go down to, like, I hub the needle to get to his bone, which is great. It's very anatomical based. So we go based off of Chad's anatomy, and this is why this is not cookie cut. And this is why you will get rejected at some medical spas if you go in and say, I want this area. If they're not doing it 5 times a day, kudos to them for saying no, because this is an area you want to do 5 to 10 times a day to get really good at. All right, guys, so take a look. Go ahead and smile for us, Chad. You can see how that just softened even those smile lines. So it's really beautiful. It's a dual approach for crow's feet. You can relax. So in this area, it's really nice. I love the combo of filler plus Botox in that area just because it just compounds the effect of your Botox so well if it's placed thoughtfully. And you see how I waited to go in that center part. This is the money spot. I waited for my money spot until the very end because the temptation for me is to go straight for here and ignore this, but then he'll come back and say, hey, this is bothering me. So trust your injector. If they're putting the needle in places you're like, that's not really the location I thought they were gonna go, trust that they have a reason for why they're taking care of the area holistically, is what I like to say. It's not just going in one spot, it's kind of thinking about the whole picture. So you can see we used a whole syringe just for that one eye, and it doesn't look overly puffy, it doesn't look extreme, it doesn't look like we did anything botched. So keep in mind that sometimes you can use one full syringe under one eye alone. And so remember that each syringe is 1/5 of a teaspoon. It's not a ton of volume. If placed correctly, we went lots of zones. We went lateral tear trough, we went a little mid tear trough, and we went mid face. So we used 1/5 of a teaspoon in all those locations, which is totally fine. All right, guys, I want you to see that we developed a little bruise here. Very, very normal in this situation. So remember, this is an area that has the thinnest skin in the whole entire face. So I can see that he's developing a little bruise. Remember, if you cannot tolerate a bruise, you cannot get an injection. All right, guys, so we've completed our treatment with Chad. It was really easy. It's not a lot of pain with the numbing medication. It's an easy procedure. You can see that we got just a little bit of bruising right there. That can get worse over the next 48 hours. So in this specific area, I always want you to plan on bruising. Remember, I told you that it's the thinnest skin on the face. So is bruising to be expected? Yes. Does it always happen? No. If you can't tolerate a bruise, like I said, don't get an injection. Give yourself 2 weeks of healing time. And we give that about that amount of time to let it integrate in the tissues as well. So right now, Chad might be a little bit swollen. He might like it, love it, hate it, but we don't really know our ultimate result for 2 weeks. I'm going to show you here on Chad that there's just a little bit of deficit still left there, and I'm okay with that. I'd rather take this stepwise and perfect it as we go with time. So you're not going to walk out 100%. What I tell my clients is I'll get you to 90 to 95% improvement. Will never get you to 100% improvement because 105% looks horrible. So we don't want to get so close to that 100% that we push you over where you look overfilled like some of the celebrities might. The other thing to kind of note is that, we do have ligaments in this zone, and if it pulls near that ligament, we can always dissolve. So let's take out the badness of dissolve. Let's get this area really perfect. And as filler can age, sometimes we dissolve and start over. In Chad's case, I think it looks beautiful. I still see that there's area for improvement in that middle eye area. And what I would tell Chad is we'll see you in 2 weeks to 4 weeks. He may love it and he's not going to come back, and I'll see him in another year. Or he might say, hey, I do need a little bit of a tune-up in that area. Let's add a little bit more. So expect to come multiple times for this area. It's not a one and done for the most part. 50% of people love it, don't come back for another year. 50% come back within 2 to 4 weeks, and we continue to perfect it. So I hope that helps you guys in your journey in tear trough filler. It is a complicated one. You want to go to someone who does it a lot and who knows their anatomy really, really well and uses the right product selection and the right patient selection. Some of you are not good candidates for this area, so keep that in the back of your mind. So remember, we want you to look great so you can feel great and do great things in this life. Take care, guys. Thank you.